Trolling crankbaits in fall is an awesome way to target walleyes, and here's why.
You're covering water, you're going over tons of fish, and you're finding them eater fish, and a lot of times it's the biggest fish of the year.
That's Nick Cekalla, Central Minnesota guide. And in this video, he's gonna break down everything you need to know to catch walleyes in fall with crankbaits. But first things first, you gotta understand the seasonal movements of both walleye and bait fish if you wanna find and catch fish consistently this time of year.
You know, when them docks are coming out, it's 50 degree water temps, you know, this is some of the best trolling there is in the year, and a lot of people are missing out on it. In essence, the fish are just following bait as that bait moves from the basin onto them shorelines. And following them fish as they migrate to those fall pattern in the shoreline is going to make you much more successful.
Now, most folks understand that as a general rule of thumb, walleye are going to be out on the structure in summer, and as you move into late summer and into early fall, those fish are going to start to transition up towards shallow water, which is eventually where you'll find them in late fall as well. But the tricky part can be finding them when they're sort of in that in-between area. Here's one of Nick's favorite places to check.
So when you're coming off that late summer and you're getting into that early fall, one spot that I really like to look for these walleyes is deep sand or deep rock when they're not quite on that shoreline yet, but they're still out of that basin and they're moving up onto that shoreline. The biggest key here is to find that bait. Them deep rock flats that are vast, you're really covering a lot of ground. They really hold a lot of bait that time of year before that bait's pushed up on the shoreline. It's a great spot to target them fish.
Now, it's not just understanding how these fish are moving seasonally from their deep summer haunts up to some of the more traditional fall spots, but it's also critical to understand how these fish move throughout the day.
You know, in the mornings and during the daytime, a lot of times those fish are going to be off them steeper edges, and you know, coming into the evening and dark, they're going to move back up on top of them structures, and they're up there because that's where the bait is, and that's what they're in there gorging themselves and getting ready for winter.
Now, the reason why trolling these guys can be so effective this time of year is because you're covering water. Not only are you marking more fish and more bait fish on the graph as you're trolling 1.5, 2.0 miles an hour, but in addition to that, you keep your bait consistently in the strike zone as you're moving, which is critical to picking off active fish. Now, next up, Nick is actually going to break down a few of his favorite baits that he likes to use this time of year, whether you're fishing in early fall all the way to ice up.
So when you're in that summer basin, that late summer basin, and you're still out there chasing them fish roaming, some of the best lures are going to be your number 7 shads, your number 5 shads, and also then your deeper build crankbaits like the Rumblebee or the deep down minnow. Just because, you know, these are going to have more erratic action, they're going to be moving a lot more, and it's what those fish are kind of keying on. They're kind of spunked up, you know, it's still summertime, they're still wanting fast moving baits, and that's really what they're going to be keying in on. Now when we come into the shoreline in the fall, you know, first of all, I love using the number 5 shads, targeting that little bit deeper edges of the top of the flats. This thing's gonna run around 10 feet, and it's just gonna be a great overall bait for that shallow water in that 60-65 degree, you know, mark. Once you get, you know, a little bit colder, you're getting further into fall, it's 50 degrees out, the minnow is where I'm going to be going for that. It's a lot slower, subtle action, rolling action, and the fish can't resist it in that cold water. So that in a nutshell is how I like to chase those walleyes as they transition from summer to fall. They're moving from that basin. I'm out there using the Rumblebees, them deep diving minnows, and I'm going into my shads on the shoreline. And then finally, when them water temps are cold, I'm putting on them minnows, hitting them shorelines real shallow.
Now, one of the biggest keys to getting bit this time of year on crankbaits is having your speed dialed in just right. Now, Nick is going to share a few of his thoughts on that topic.
You know, the biggest thing with speed overall is trial and error. If you are going 2.5 and they're creaming it, I wouldn't slow down. But, you know, typically in that late summer, you're running them basins, you know, around that 2.2, 2.1, 2.4 kind of area. So late summer into fall, you're just going to keep going down with that speed. You know, when you're still in that 60-degree temperature, you're going to be at that 2-mile-an-hour range. And after 55 degrees, you're going to start slowing down all the way into that 1-4 at night, trolling the minnows. And like I said, the biggest thing about, you know, figuring it out is trial and error. Slow it down, speed it up, figure out what those fish want that day.
Special thanks to Nick Cekalla for sharing the information. Hopefully it will help you put a few more walleyes in the boat this fall on crankbaits. Now, I want to thank you for watching this video to the end, and if you enjoyed what you just watched and you learned something, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. We got more awesome videos to come, and until then, I will see you next time.